we already have 2 players secured in the top 4, and it's time to find out which third player will be joining them. For our first player, he is the GSL Super Tournament 1 champion, and he's looking to get revenge on his opponent from stopping him from 2 more titles of this year. Please welcome on stage, it's herO! Facing herO is the IEM Shanghai and GSL Super Tournament 2 champion. He had to take down herO in both of those grand finals to do so. Please welcome on stage, it is Rogue!
A clash between the world's best Zerg player going up against the world's best Protoss player. Will we have a Protoss in the round of 8? Roti, what are you thinking?
Well, we have him in the round of 8, but will he make it to the round of 4? That's, of course, the big question. I'm super excited. It's the only Protoss left in the tournament. I want to see him advance, Todd, because we are Protoss brothers in the end. But it's going to be one hell of a series. Like the boys said on the couch as well, it's rematch time, Todd. And the last 2 times, it didn't go that well for our Protoss herO.
Very often we say, you know, there's only one Protoss in the round of 8, but then he ends up winning the whole thing, and then there's nothing left to say after that. But this time around, they have a storied rivalry. Actually, they've played 21 times, and it's 11 and 10 in favor of Rogue currently, 26 and 26 in maps. So they couldn't be even more well matched up against one another. And like you said, they've had some very important encounters as of late, made in 2 different grand finals. One of them was the Intel Extreme Masters Shanghai, which Rogue won, and more recently in the GSL Super Tournament Grand Finals, a very close Grand Finals, which Rogue again won, barely sneaking into that top 8 here to make the Global Finals, stealing SOS's spot.
Yeah, well, he would have loved to see him here as well, Todd, but I couldn't agree more. Stats are incredibly even across the board. How often do you see that? 26-26 in maps, 11 and 10 in series, like you just said. I love looking at that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, this is a unique series. It's a very big day for both of them, and everything that happened in the past doesn't matter anymore. It all comes down to what happens right here, right now, in this best of 5 in the 3rd quarterfinals of the day. It seems like we're going to kick things off on Interloper. Todd, a good old PvZ on Interloper. What are your first thoughts?
I'm not surprised, you know, to see all these maps. Like usually PvZ is pretty straightforward. I'm more concerned about the build orders and strategies and all that. Like I feel like, again, you know, herO is on Root Gaming, a team that has cats, so definitely could be seeing him throw out some of these very unique builds that we see. But all alike, Rogue, a lot of people give him credit for his late game, but he knows how to be very aggressive. He knows how to Nidus. That's actually what he did last time when they met on Newkirk. Yeah. And that was the 1 game out of 3 where herO actually went for Kairos and won. But that was only because he defended the early on all-in. In the other games, he wasn't able to make that work.
That hold in that game that you're referring to that happened a little over a month ago was absolutely fantastic. And I think this is going to be a very explosive best of 5. Rogue knows how to be aggressive. herO loves to be aggressive. But the difference between herO and almost any other Protoss in the world is that a lot of Protoss players, they overly commit. They are super all-in. herO somehow always finds a way to get a few probes behind his attacks and drag the games on. But let's not wait any longer as we have loaded into game number 1. And we're looking at the main base of the last Protoss in this tournament. Give it up for herO.
And his opponent in the reds, considered by many the greatest Zerg player in the world currently, it is Rogue.
It often happens that the guy that squeezes in last or wins the most recent big tournament does have a very good run at the Global Finals. And so far that's been the same. After herO fell to Neep in the group stage, I was a little bit worried about him because I was really convinced. I was like, you know, I was full American bias, thought Neep's going to win that group and herO could potentially be eliminated, but that didn't happen at all. He bounced back and he played excellent the second time those two faced off against each other. So far, everything looks relatively all right.
Yeah, both the rank 1 of the WCS circuit and WCS Korea are already out of the tournament, so it's really players peaking at the right time. Both herO and Rogue were in rank 7 and 8 in the WCS Korea standings, yet here they are, meeting one another and looking very, very strong so far this tournament.
Now this is an interesting opening by Rogue already because it's so hard to figure out exactly as a Protoss what are you going up against. You know there is a pool, you know there is a gas. Is he gonna just run across the map with Roach Ravager? Probably not, since it's Gateway before Nexus. Is he going to Link flood me? Absolutely a possibility. Could it be Link Queen? It's a possibility. Could it be a crazy Nidus build that Rogue has done so many times? That too is possible, and obviously it could be a Bailing Nest as well. So for herO right now, it's already a little bit rough, not in the way that he's behind, but in a way that he should be kind of scared because there are many things possible and he doesn't know which option it is right now.
Yeah, herO loves to set up the pace. He's the one usually that's being the aggressor, that's trying to set up his mid game, whether it's with an attack or tricking his opponent into thinking that he's going to do one. He already passed the Zerg test pretty well so far this tournament. He 2-0'd E-Laser and 2-0 Dark. Doesn't really get any better than this, really, going up against Rogue here into this matchup.
That is a very early Roach Warren that we see on the production tab already, Todd. Now
and herO!
Oh my god, that is actually a very interesting build. Now let's see how herO decides to go. If herO goes for a Twilight, that's the worst case scenario, but it's going to be the Stargate that we see oh so often. Now Stargates can be fine. The problem is the Oracle these days is not like the Oracle we had in Heart of the Swarm. And Vision is not a thing anymore. And yes, you do have Revelation, but if those Roaches split up a little bit, it's going to be quite tricky to find and keep track of all of them. It's important that herO figures this out as quickly as possible.
He might like firepower. Ideally here, you would want to make your Mothership Core as early as possible because you're going to be under attack, but a lot of Protosses, they skip that for a very long time. And Evolution Chamber as well. I think he's going to drop Roaches in the main, burrow them there, make sure herO doesn't have enough detection, and herO has no idea. You talked about it. You need to see what's coming. And herO just won't know anytime soon here. He does start a Void Ray, which could be very useful.
Absolutely, that Void Ray is going to be super useful in shutting down this Drop Lord, but don't forget, there is at least 2 Overlords, so if he just kills one, if those Roaches make it into the main base, I'm not going to say it's 100% game over, but herO could potentially take way too much economic damage. herO right now doesn't have any detection, needs to start the Oracle after the Void Ray, but even if he has that thought, then it still becomes incredibly difficult to deal with this build from Rogue.
Oh, he doesn't manage to close the gate early enough here to prevent those Roaches from getting in there that early. The first two are going to go right into the natural, and they're kiting away here against those units. This is already going to be a problem. Burrow's already finished.
Yep, and now he's going to pull the Void Ray out of position as well, which means that the Drop Lord could potentially make its way into the main base. It's over here on the left bottom side. herO is picking up on it. He knows that, but I think he knows just a tiny bit too late. He's going to make his first Oracle, but I have no idea how herO's not supposed to lose a ton of workers here.
He might need to start something like a Forge or a Robo right now for more detection, but for now it's going to be one more Oracle being made. He's still making probes here, because he knows he's going to be losing a ton of them. burrow going to be used effectively here. Rogue with some fantastic micro.
Yep, I mean, that overcharge was actually doing some serious work. Rogue does end up, I think he lost 1 roach so far. So Revelation tags 2 of the roaches, that's great. But now the Oracle is out of energy. And this is where things become incredibly painful for our Protoss. He did start the Robotot that you were wishing for. But the question is, will he be able to save enough workers?
And in the meantime, Rogue, knowing that he's going to kill way more walkers, he's going to get many of his own, starting 6 drones simultaneously. These roaches looking to try and do some more damage here. Rogue should be catching up on the walker count momentarily, but this has been defended better than I thought he would be able to.
Yeah, a tiny bit sloppy there, I think, by Robotot. He lost 2 roaches in the natural, there was no detection, and they were shooting at the pile and want to be a little bit critical. He's done a great job saving a bunch of them, but imagine a world where he had those 2 other roaches still in the natural. How many roaches have died so far? Can we get a confirmation of that real quick? So it's 5. Only 2 roaches were actually revealed, so yes, it's been good by Rogue, but it could have been even better.
Yeah, and a bit of an early photon overcharge here on the natural base from herO. So Rogue's just gonna burrow there, still looking to try and score some more probe kills there as herO gets another Oracle as well as the first observer. In the meantime, we've got a 3rd hatchery being set up for Rogue on his natural. And he's just going to be droning up, starting link speed just in case he gets countered attack to make sure he's safe on the ground and quints as well.
Oh, what a way to start this best of 5. I'm already loving it. herO did a lot of damage there, but I'm still wondering if that was truly enough. 17 workers sounds like an insane amount, and it obviously is, but by the time that this attack hit, it was 35 probes against 19. So yes, herO's been mining more. herO lost more. They're quite even right now, and the Zerg has no tag at all. herO started a Prism, I believe. Is the Prism out already? No, okay, I guess he cancelled the Prism, made the Immortal, but as soon as you give herO a Prism, you know stuff will die on the other side of the map.
Absolutely here. He preserved still a decent. I actually at first when I saw him make more probes, I was like, maybe that's not the best choice during the attack, but he knew around how many probes he was going to lose. And with 4 more gates on the way here, any sort of counter attack with charge lots, immortals, and the air units that he has is going to be quite deadly here by herO. And I think he knows that Rogue has to make a lot of drones, so it's going to be hard for him to make units to counter an attack.
These oracles have a lot of energy as well, which could very usefully come into play soon. 5 gates have been wiped in, charge is on the way, so it could very well be. Is herO actually mining gas right now?
No, not on the natural.
Okay.
So he's just going to go for mass charge loss with a couple immortals that he's already got, and it's just going to be a massive attack, which I think from Rogue is going to be super hard to hold on.
Yep, normally you want to have a couple Hydras there, but that's going to be very hard as that layer attack has just started. So it's just going to have to be Roaches and Lynx. I would love to see a Bailing Nest from Rogue. I know it would be a little bit late.
But he has no idea, right? Because the Void Ray chased away the Overlord. So he might be thinking that the gases on the natural are taken right now by herO. So he's kind of guessing, but he's guessing wrong. What he needs to do is make a ton of units from now. If he starts to make some more drones, he's going to be in big trouble. He should be seeing these Immortals taking down these rocks there. And Bailing Nest does start as well as Spine Crawlers. Rogue is aware that this is coming and he's going to try to get enough units to make sure he can defend.
He also fired up 7 Roaches, so the worker count is 46 against 38. Keep a close eye on that production tab, because we want to know if herO actually goes all out with this, or will he eventually take the gases, because herO does that. The moment he feels it's not going to work, he will transition, but this is going to be very hard to deal with. These 2 Immortals pack one hell of a punch. I love the way herO is still using these Oracles to freeze the production as well, and that's a lot of Zealot stuff.
Yeah, there's so many of them. They're going to close the distance here against those Queens, and very few units here that are on the ground. The Spines finished on time. They're really not doing that much against that many Zealots. Big Warping is actually going to have to be cancelled here because he was right under the Spore. It looks like herO, he's doing it right now.
Yep, there is no answer to all these Zealots. These Immortals are still full on HP. The Void Ray is helping out as well. And Rogue, his production was stalled because of these Oracles. I think this is going to be game over. GG. herO takes game number 1. After excellent defense start early on, you got to give him a lot of credit defending against that build. If you do not open up with a Robo, and almost nobody opens up with a Robo, is simply very tough, especially if they get dropped in your main as well. But he did one hell of a job. 17 probes sounds like a lot, but thought I would have lost 37.
Yeah, I think we all thought the same thing, or at least both of us, when we saw what was happening on the production tab, these units going across the map. I was like, yeah, I'd be pretty dead here, but not herO. He gets the holds, goes for the counter-attack, and then he looked at the own supply that he had in Walkers and knew that he could afford to go for a deadly counter-attack.
That's one hell of a start for this man, the last Protoss in this tournament, who lost 2 times against Rogue in tournament finals this year. But he did manage to win their most recent encounter, 3-1 in the Masters Coliseum. So maybe that was a little bit of a confidence booster. You know, if you lose 2 big series, it's always nice to take a series after that. Give yourself the confirmation that you are able to beat this guy. And perhaps even on the biggest stage, which obviously the quarterfinals of BlizzCon taught, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, that would be definitely peaking at the right time here. Despite losing the GSL Super Tournament, herO, the way he's playing here, I feel like he's bound to make the Grand Finals if he keeps on going like this. He hasn't lost a map here yet at the Global Finals.
I don't want to jinx our last Protoss brother, Todd. We need a little bit of Aya representation in the semifinals, but Rogue is one hell of a player. Has given me so much entertainment over the last few months as well. Watching that man, you know, do what he does best in those tournaments when his back was against the wall, when he really needed to win to even qualify for the global playoffs. A remarkable performance and an absolute joy to watch him. So I guess we win either way, but our Protoss heart thought is whispering to us.
Yeah, I mean, what better representative than herO here, really, with the way he's playing. It's just beautiful. Deep was playing impressively as well, like, you know, still kind of sad that he didn't make it, but it really goes to show how competitive these global finals are. But herO is a man on a mission here.
He still has not. I mean, I guess he was in a tiny bit of trouble this game, but I never felt he was about to die. I was just like, okay, let's see how he handled it.
It's not like he was a disaster and then like he had to go for a counter-attack and win.
But then if you think back of his group stage, he was also never in that much trouble. He did have that close competitive game with Dark on Ascension, but for some reason, when herO has Prisms and herO has Immortals, he just knows how to keep them alive, and he knows how to get maximum value out of those things all the time. And it's impressive. He's 5-0 so far at the Global Finals.
Here we go. Map number 2 of this best of 5 here between these two fantastic players. We're going to be playing on Odyssey.
Could be a wild one, Todd. Could be a very wild one. Odyssey, one of the maps left that still has a gold base as well. Now, it's not one of these gold bases that you can take immediately, even though you'll see it once in a blue moon. But there is a very good chance it will at least come into play as we are loading into Odyssey. And we're looking at the main base of the man who's up 1-0, the last Protoss in the tournament. Give it up for herO.
Playing for Team Root Gaming.
That new hoodie, that's a Root hoodie. It's awesome.
Root for Root, man. His opponent in the red, it is Jenna Greenwing's Rogue. And herO's going to be skipping that scout and be taking an earlier gas. Here, one of the new things that we see. I'm always weirded out by this. You know, for the longest time, we never did this as Protoss, but now it's become like a thing where, like, if you don't scout, you can actually afford to take the gas early.
Rogue is switching things up as well, Johan, as he's going for the hatchery first on the other side of the map. Now, this is obviously pretty different than what he did on Interloper, because if you open up with the pool and gas, there are so many ways to be aggressive. He picked one of them, did a decent amount of damage, but wasn't ready to deal with the counter. This time, however, it's going to be for the most standard opening that we currently have in Zerg vs Protoss. Hatchery first, followed up with the spawning pool, with the gas, and take the game from there.
Yeah, considering there is a goal base on this map, like you mentioned, it's the herO definitely showing a lot of nerve, not actually going for a scout. I feel like against a goal base, you definitely need to scout that early on, know that it's there, so you can make according plans. But herO saying, you wouldn't dare. And I guess what? He's right. Rogue didn't go for that, at least for now.
Already mining up that gas quite a bit. Could potentially go for a super fast Stargate. I mean, the one-gate Stargate, if you ask yourself why do we see it so often in this matchup, it's just because it's incredibly versatile. It's good to be aggressive on the other side of the map. You can always do a little bit of damage, maybe get some queens, maybe get drones. But last but not least, you get all the scouting information in the world. And no matter what kind of aggressive opening the Zerg goes for, with the Stargate, there is always the potential to deal with. There is no such thing as a straight-up build order loss when you go one-gate Stargate. And that's why a lot of the Protoss players really love it, but this is also a map where I thought maybe we could see a Twilight console opening. I wouldn't hate it, but if he goes for the Stargate, it absolutely does make sense.
Yeah, herO is incredible with Dark Shrine openers. Actually, that style that he played against Dark, where he was playing with a lot of charge loss, Archons, and like a lot of these attacks, I look at them and I'm like, everybody in the world would die in that moment as soon as it was held, except herO. It just kept on pulling back on time, saving Archons with like no hit points, losing most of their shields. Used double Prism to pick his the most expensive units every time that he attacked, regrouping and then re-attacking every time. And he ended up breaking Dark, actually. That was on Catalina, a fantastic game. It feels like herO has mastered that style, and as long as he plays it on any kind of map like this, he's going to be successful with it.
Probably going to be a Dark Shrine opening here, as there is a Sentry out as well. If he wanted to go for a Resonating Glaives, we would have seen more Adepts. There we do have that Dark Shrine being wiped in. I like it, though. This is one of the openings that we used to see almost every game. It fell a tiny bit out of fashion, but it's always something you can still count on. And every now and then, the Zerg players do react a little bit lazy, right? Sometimes the Spore Crawlers are a tiny bit late. Sometimes there is no Overseer in position, so let's just see how much damage herO will be able to get done. But Overlord speed is about to finish up, as we can see on the right side of our screen, and that should give Rogue all the information a Zerg could dream of.
Yeah, Rogue is definitely one of those no-nonsense Zergs, you know, that will make sure he gets some scout in there, know what he's up against, get the spores on time, and make sure he minimizes the damage. But there's always like still a bit of a guessing game, you know, like do I go roaches, do I not? What upgrades do I get?
There are some weird variances in this build as well, right? Where sometimes instead of going up to 3 bases, they drop the Nexus, but they're not actually building probes. It's just more gateways, and suddenly you have to deal with 2 Archons and an overwhelming amount of Zealots way earlier than you expected. Or Archons and Resonating Glaives with Adepts, or Adepts with Resonating Glaives, I mean. But that's, for so far, thought that's not necessarily going to be the case. I love this little drop alert, because the last thing in the world you want to do is warp in units at home when you're sending your Warp Prism out. Now, herO does scout it, and that's a very, very important scout.
Yeah, this is huge, especially because you go when you go for this Dark Shrine opener, usually you want to warp in DT, so you want to save your gas, so you don't get a Mothership Core, which is great in defending this. Upon seeing it, herO is like, you know what? I'll raise your 8-lings with 4 Zealots, get a Mothership Core, make sure I get the defense, and go for a second Prism to go for an even bigger attack eventually, and he's already getting charged here.
Second Prism could be really gnarly. It's very important that Rogue spots his second Prism. I'm not 100% sure if he will. I mean, technically, he could keep a close eye on that Robo. A couple of Dark Templars have just been warped in outside of the wall. They have started their mission. 4 of them running to the other side of the map. The layer is just now started. Okay, this is going to morph them into Archons immediately. This is going to be madness of Archons and Zealots. And let's see if Rogue is ready to deal with this.
And Rogue is so scared. He starts a Spinecrawler in the main, as our observer is showing here. He's worried about the amount of charge lots and Archons that will hit him, and he should be, because it could be a huge force. Like herO, he has charge about to finish. With all the gas that he's banked up, he could go for 2 more Archons.
Is that a Bane drop in the natural of herO? Is that just okay, it's just a scouting Overlord for now. I got a little bit scared. I think he wants to scare herO there as well. Now he does already have Banelings. He is morphing Banes outside of the main base, and he does have plenty of links and defensive Banes to work with right now. But he's still gonna have to execute properly. You don't want to lose your Banelings to these Archons, because that's when things can really spiral out of control if the Zealots start showing up.
So herO is gonna use those 2 Archons to bring Rogue's army out of position straight into the main base. He's gonna try in the same time to attack the 3rd base.
Oh my God.
With smash charge lots. Rogue has to react to this properly. I don't even know if he has enough Banelings.
There are fights everywhere right now, Tal. The Rogue is going to go for this 3rd Nexus. He's going to drop in the main, but these Zealots have shown up. There were Spinecrawlers to buy a little bit of time, though. It seems all right for Rogue, but it would have been really nice to have a couple of Banelings here, as Zerglings alone are not going to get the job done. More units streaming in. Zealots trying to hold the front line there. Where are the reinforcements, Rogue? Okay, 1 Baneling does connect, but that's not going to be enough, so he brings back a couple of units, and even that, Tal, okay, I guess now with those latest links, he will finally clean this up. I like that for herO in the end.
Yeah, the Prism with the 2 Archons was cleaned up.
Oh, okay.
But herO's still ahead in Walkers. He's got the 3rd base coming up, and Rogue probably, like, he thought like that was it, you know, like he needed to defend that. And the game was going to be over if he didn't defend it well enough. But no, actually herO built up an economy behind this. It's not like he didn't have the gases on his natural or anything. He had a 3rd base on the way, which I'm not sure, like Rogue didn't see for the longest time. He actually had to send links there to see it. And we're going to go into the standard mid-game Zerg versus Protoss with Hydra Bane going up against Immortal, Chargelot, Archon, and High Templars potentially.
You mentioned the work account. That's not looking all that pretty for Rogue, though. As a Zerg player, you don't want to be down 7 workers. Now he's trying to do his absolute best to catch up. But these Archons, or these Dark Templars that were morphed on the other side of the map, have once again morphed into Archons. I love the combination of the Prism and the Observer, just to push that creep back a little bit.
At 7 minutes, though, pretty scary. I'd be like, I don't know, Kev. Might be a little bit close to the Hydra timing.
Yeah, but I guess like this has been a wild game, right? With a lot of units being produced, and he kind of traded quite decently as well. It's risky, but it's herO, Todd. I'm gonna trust that he knows what he's doing.
Cleaning up one more Overlord here on the map. He's actually gonna supply block Rogue, against whom he's already ahead in supply. herO just doing fantastic here.
Let's see. Okay, this is actually quite nice. Rogue is going to show up with those Zerglings at the 3rd base of herO. He's going to be like, hey, if I were you, I would pay attention to this. Make sure to overcharge, and at the same time, that Overlord is going to fly into the main base. Now, there are still Archons. Warp Prism on the other side of the map. It was taking some damage. In the end, it will live. The Observer did go down, though. Now, let's see if these Banelings... Oh, the Archons are... The Archons have the same problem as me, Todd. They don't fit through anymore.
They can't pass through certain doors. The Mothership Core being around the 3rd base means that there is none in the main base, but I think herO has a couple units down there. Waiting maybe? Oh, actually no, these are pylons. Okay, this could be scary. He would have to react on time, pull far enough away from the Overlord, because I think Rogue is actually waiting for +2 melee to finish. herO.
Oh, these Banelings coming awfully close to getting really good connections.
Oh, he's going for the main. +2 melee is not finished yet. But I guess he has enough Banelings that this is going to be worth it. Oh my god.
Imagine if he had... Oh, and the run by as well in the natural, because the pylon was taken out. He didn't really
hero's going to go for it across the map. He feels like he's lost too much. He needs to go for the attack. Those Rogue have enough.
I mean, with a couple of Queens helping out there as well. The Banelings just crash into the Archons, but 2 Archons did go down almost immediately. More Banelings streaming in, 24 Zerglings on the way. I actually think Rogue does have enough here, Todd, as these Archons are falling. The Immortals are all that's left behind, and 28 probes went down on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and Archon here was actually not doing much here during this fight, but herO's going to be able to evacuate with 2 of the Immortals here that he had. Walker-wise, despite losing as many probes as he did, it's not the end of the world. It's 43 against 62. Obviously, it's not good, but he's still in this. And herO, I think he knows he needs something special here to come back in this game. He's going to start Storm and try and secure that, because he's already on 6 gases. If he could get, I don't know, like 6 High Templars, each with Storm, he would have a good chance to be able to clean up very well against Hydralisk and Banes, but the biggest threat is always going to be those Bane drops in these middle lines.
Now, herO is one of the absolute best, if not the best Protoss in the world, so I don't want to just accuse him of tilting, but it almost felt like he was a little fed up there with multiple Baneling run-bys and the Ling run-by, and he's just like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. But that was really hard to run into. Yeah. The Queens were in position, the Banelings kept crashing forward, there were a lot of units there. I think, you know, normally you want to wait a little bit longer as more Banelings try to roll into this middle line as well. +2 means 11 dead probes. herO is playing an absolutely fantastic game.
Yeah. I think it was also a case of herO was like, you have this many Banelings across the map, you might not have any back at home, and then I'll just kill you. But no, Rogue made sure that he had enough for the counter-attack, which he probably anticipated was going to come. So fantastic series here so far already from these two, and Rogue really fighting back here in map number 2. Perhaps on the verge of scoring the first map up against a herO that hasn't lost any yet.
Yeah, that could very well be the first map loss of the tournament for our Protoss, but he does have Storm and he's wiping in a couple of High Templars. And when you have Storm, Todd, there is always a dream, especially if you go up against Hydra Bane. But the army is the biggest problem right now. herO doesn't have much besides Storm. Like, Storm is great, but you need something to fall back on. You want to have a couple Archons in there to finish up those low HP units. You want to have a few Immortals as the backline, maybe be able to wipe in a couple of Zealots once the Banes are gone. Storm is great, but just Storm is often not enough.
Yeah, and these Immortals across the map are really starting to make me feel nervous, man. There's so many Hydralisks stand on the map that if this was to be caught, actually they're buying time nicely right now.
Exactly, that is what it is though. I mean, this is incredibly risky, I agree with you, but the longer he buys time for himself, 9 more workers went down. The Prism is going to fly across these Hydras as well with 2 Immortals inside of it, and herO's had enough. GG. Rogue with some awesome moves on Odyssey evens up the score.
Great game here by Rogue, staying solid throughout, and I think, you know, I said like the Baneling drop for the main base was a bit early just before +2 melee, but I think he realized that herO was looking elsewhere. He was looking inside of his third base, he was not paying attention in the main base, and when you start killing that many probes, usually it's going very well for you here as the Zerg. And again, the counter-attack just didn't do enough by herO this time around, so apparently he can bleed.
Yeah, and of course that first Prism as well with the first 2 Archons, right? Because that's a phase in the game where if he keeps that Prism and those 2 Archons alive, he can keep Rogue back. He can just keep trying to trade it for almost nothing. Just don't lose the Prism. Losing your first Prism with 2 Archons in it, that's absolutely devastating. Of course, you can always send out a new Prism, but you take out the own momentum that you're trying to build for yourself. Because herO was up in workers. If he keeps that Prism alive, that's only going to snowball. That will only extend further and further. But he gave time for Rogue to economically recover after losing that Prism, and obviously Rogue, well, don't give him any chances, Todd, because he'll take him.
That was a pretty big mistake by herO, actually, because I think the main thing is that he stood between the main and natural base, but on the left side, you know, kind of where the Prism will be trapped. Rogue noticed that, and he sent 4 Queens to try and clean that up. That's why he got the Prism. And if it had been on the right-hand side, then herO would have been able to evacuate. It'd be a different game, right? That's a lot of supply to lose. 2 Archons and a Prism like that to just like Queens and Lings for the most part.
Yeah, and once again, StarCraft is absolutely a game where things can snowball, and that Prism could have been a huge nuisance to Rogue, because at that point you don't have any Hydras, at least not many. I think the Hydra then was just starting, so it just becomes incredibly hard to kill a Prism. Obviously there's no Mutalisk in that phase in the game, no Corruptors. Losing it can be very detrimental to your entire game plan, and I guess that's kind of what happened. But I like it, Todd. I like evening up things. I want to see an awesome back-and-forth quarterfinal, and we know that these two are incredibly even matched. Throughout their history right now, it's 27-27. Who's going to take the lead?
Well, a draw is not possible here, so definitely someone.
Never say that, Todd. We've seen crazier things. I had a couple of them in the WCS circuit over the years. As we are getting ready to hop into game number 3 on the classic Abyssal Reef, looking at the main base of our Protoss representing Root, it is herO.
His opponent in the reds, opening with an early pull, it is Jenna Greenwing's Rogue.
Cheeky, Johan Merlo, a 12 pull on Abyssal Reef. Now, what is this going to mean? Obviously, Rogue is going to produce a bunch of Zerglings. He's going to run them across the map, but from there on, things become interesting. There are multiple ways to deal with it. herO does drop his gateway on the low ground, so there's going to be this one awkward moment where he's going to have to pull probes, and then it's incredibly important that you don't lose too many probes. Now, I've seen herO have some absolutely spectacular holds against this opening in the past, so is this troublesome for herO? Not that much, but it all comes down to the execution. If you mess up once with your probes, it can snowball incredibly quick. And obviously, we're going to keep a close eye on the production tab, because how many links will Rogue produce? Is it going to be 8? Is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 12? Probably between 10 and 12. And from that point on, we see he's also dropping the hatchery. So he's not going super crazy with this start, but obviously, he wants to do damage.
This is the thing. In StarCraft 2, we've reached such a high level here between these pro gamers that Rogue picked up on the slightest of trends. Remember last game, herO didn't scout. So
herO
didn't
scout. Yeah, he didn't scout either, right?
Exactly. So he was like, if you're not going to scout and open with an early, guys, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to run across the map with Zerglings and kill a lot of your probes. Recently, though, when they met in the GSL Super Tournament, this happened, and herO actually held, losing almost nothing. Just one single probe, killing a ton of links. But this time around, can he do the same thing? It's going to be tough.
That pylon is so exposed. There is no chance of getting a Zealot anytime soon. The probe is going to build. He's going to cancel the Nexus immediately. He's going to pull almost all of his workers. He's going to try to get the wraparound on the Zerglings. That doesn't work, but he does keep the pylon alive. Now, what is herO going to produce? The Mothership Core at first, and he has money to produce something else.
Oh, he doesn't have the gas for an Adept.
He's supply block. I think he queued up the Adept, but I think he's supply blocked.
Oh my god. Yeah, second pylon's gonna finish. He didn't have the gas either.
Oh god, the Rogue is doing such a phenomenal job in buying links. You don't want to commit with the links, you don't want to take a bad fight, but you obviously do want to do damage. And at this point, it becomes very awkward for these probes. herO is going to try to fight it. Overcharge is going to save the day here. He traps a lot of these Zerglings, and herO holds. Wow.
Oh my god, he lost 2 probes only.
But
it's slightly worse than the one that he lost last time. He had to face this. This is so sick here, herO. He lost a lot of mining time.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
20 walkers to 17. Like, he can definitely recover, start a Nexus. He's going to be safe at home. He knows that Rogue behind this will have expanded and will be droning up.
Now, there is, like in an imaginary world where he doesn't cancel the Nexus, he's incredibly far ahead right now, but that's not the case. herO doesn't like to underreact against this build. He pulled all the workers. I love the little dance, the little tango we saw from both players. Rogue is like, hey, I'm here and I'm ready to fight. And herO is like, well, no, let me get a good fight. And, you know, neither player really wanted to commit. Rogue did get the extra pylon and obviously forced herO to keep those probes out there for as long as possible. And eventually herO set up the trap with the overcharge. Incredibly well done. I like it a lot more for Rogue than I like it for herO at this point, especially just because, you know, everything else for herO feels late. It's going to be hard to get, you know, really a lot of damage done with Stargate stuff, but it's absolutely still a playable game.
You know, it's crazy to think that herO in his career, he's won over $220,000. If he wins this tournament, he will have won more in one tournament than in the rest of his career. And he will actually be highest earning player in StarCraft and go above MC.
Yeah, we'll go above 500K.
Yeah, that'd be pretty, that would be a good birthday here.
What a life. Make a couple of dabs of Warp Prism here and there, Todd.
The dream.
Yeah, Stargate being warped in, that's not a surprise. Stargate play is once again incredibly popular. I don't really understand this pylon. He is sending the Mothership Core across the map, so I guess he wanted to apply some pressure. Did he cancel that? No cancel, right? Didn't feel like it. I didn't see any numbers.
How much energy does the Mothership Core have? Maybe he wanted to like double overcharge. No, he only had one.
Yeah.
Second,
I mean, maybe
he
could have warped in another one.
He probably thought that Rogue, I don't know, had less Zerglings, but he must have seen them with the drones. Maybe a little bit of a mistake there. Void Ray is actually going to start here.
Could be a safety Void Ray, right? Like, we obviously know that Rogue is droning up, but that's not something that herO could have possibly known.
Yeah, usually you don't even need to scout like this with Mothership Core, but herO, I think he's extra wary this series of Rogue doing something crazy like a big attack.
Rogue's going to try to be annoying here with a couple of Zerglings knocking on the front door. Overcharge being used immediately. Did not want to end up losing that Zealot. Was a little bit early, but I guess he feels like he's all right. He did scout, and he knows that Rogue doesn't have an army on the other side of the map, so using that overcharge is not that big of a deal right now. Now the safety Void Ray is out. Obviously this Void Ray is going to hunt for a couple Overlords here and there. But, you know, Todd, if I'm herO right now, I would love to be, by the way. That would be so awesome. But if I was herO, I don't feel too comfortable. It's going to be hard to go up to 3 bases. You just feel a little bit out of your element. Yes, of course, you have a Void Ray and maybe Oracles to keep it safe. But that 3rd base is already going to be late, and you don't have many gateways to work with. So if Rogue decides to produce a big swell of Zerglings, you're going to lose it. I guess herO feels the same way. So he's going to get Twilight and a Robo behind this. but this also means that he's going to be stuck on one gate and two bases for quite some time. Not a place you truly want to be as a Protoss player.
Yeah, and considering how last game went, I'm not surprised that, you know, we see a Baneling nest again. I wouldn't be surprised if rogue tried to repeat the same success that they had with some Baneling drops, trying to blow up walkers. You don't change the winning strategy already. 3 gates already being added on. Perhaps l'explosion des gates, as you like to call it, if you wanted to go for a big attack there.
You do see 16 additional Zerglings being produced as well, so rogue obviously thinking everything that we were discussing there. If herO tries to go up to 3 bases a little faster than he should have, and he only has 1 gateway to work with, rogue's gonna be like, well, what up, you know, I'm here with 28 Zerglings, what are you gonna do about it? Oracles are great, but they ain't that great. But it seems like herO thought might not actually plan on building too many probes in the next 2 minutes, and he might actually plan on being very, very aggressive with a Warp Prism, Archons, and maybe a bunch of Zealots.
Yeah, actually when I saw this first, I thought he would go for, try to rush for High Templars and play an economic game. Try to threaten with a Prism, but not overcome it. Oh yeah, looking at things here, we'll see if he makes more probes. Okay, no, he does actually start some more probes.
I'm a little bit worried though, Todd. He's 15 workers behind and his 3rd Nexus is just now starting. I don't know how much time herO would have to buy with his Oracle and with his Warp Prism to not die against the very first big Ling, Hydra, Zergling, Baneling attack. This is going to be incredibly hard. Rogue is going to have absolutely overwhelming numbers, and unless you land some miraculous stasis ward, you're going to have a very hard time. That's a lot of surface area on this Nexus. Overcharge is going to try to save the day, but that's a lot of Zerglings, Johan.
Yeah, let's see if rogue can get his Nexus. It looks like it here. He's going to lose a lot of links to get it, but this is definitely worth it, because that Nexus was not too far away from finishing here. We've got Archons being morphed across the map, as well as Adepts now being warped in here from herO, who's gonna try to do some of his own economic damage there.
Yeah, but there's already 7 Hydras on the way. Just to put things in perspective, often you see Protoss players go up to 3 bases at 4:30 or 5 minutes sharp. Obviously that wasn't possible because of the 12 pool, but we're almost 8 minutes into the game now, and that Nexus is still not done. These Adepts don't really get a lot done either, and for this Warp Prism, it's also very hard to be effective, because Rogue just has way more units than you normally face as a Protoss player when you want to start harassing, and thought this Prism is actually in a little bit of trouble as well.
Yeah, great defense here by Rogue, only losing 3 walkers. I'm actually surprised that this Prism staying across the map. I would fly right back home. I'm out of here, but Lurker then actually starting to be morphed here by Rogue, who's already planning ahead. He knows that behind these heroes most likely going to get Immortals, go straight into Storm, and Lurkers can be great against a low Immortal count and a very charge load based army.
I mean, Storm just now is starting, +1 attack is just starting as well for herO. It's just been a very rough game for him. Like, he went up to 3 bases very late, he tried to play it safe. I think he kind of hoped that Rogue would have been aggressive of ultra low drone count, but that didn't happen. Rogue went up to 63 workers. These pylons are going to fall very quickly. 1 overcharge will buy a little bit of time, but thought without Storm, without too many Immortals to fall back on, this is already going to be really, really tough for herO.
Yeah, he has so little units here. Not even overcharges can help him. Rogue looking to try and take the lead here in this series with a 2-1. 15 drones died, the Mothership Core as well. And he's down to 2 Adepts here. I think Rogue's gonna take the lead quite convincingly here on Abyssal Reef.
Yep, I mean, 2 Archons are left and a Warp Prism, and herO's shown us some magic in the past, but this is just a little too much Zerg to deal with. Once again, these Banelings are getting some very juicy connections. That Nexus falls. More Zerglings streaming in right now. One of the Archons did get picked off. The Immortal is going to get surrounded, and Rogue will take the lead.
Giving us the thumbs up here, Rogue, with once again a great game. He's really coming into stride here. From that game number 2, we see him playing up to his full potential, and herO kind of falling apart here a little bit in comparison. A lot of his aggressions are finally being shut down. The original defense I thought was good. He only lost 2 probes, which is definitely 10 less than I would have lost.
Yep, things started off so well for herO in game number 1, had an incredibly good hold against those burrowed roaches, but in game 2 and 3 it was almost all Rogue. We're gonna head over to a very small break, and after that we'll be back with game 4 between herO versus Rogue.
The 2017 StarCraft 2 World Championship Series Global Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Welcome back to the WCS Global Finals. herO with a 2-1 lead here currently over herO in these fantastic quarterfinals. How have those games been, Roti?
I've enjoyed them. Game 2 and 3 are definitely what I expect when these two go up against each other. That non-stop trading, that herO trying to harass, but herO also trying to harass, and both players just desperately trying to outplay each other. But I'd love to see some longer games, though. I'd love to see the real 4-base setups. You know, I spoke a little bit with Snoot in the beginning of the tournament. He said, I've played multiple games against herO, and I know that we see herO often being hyper-aggressive with barbarisms and timing attacks, but his 4-base game is just as good, if not better. He's like, you can compare it to any other Protoss in the world. He is incredibly good in playing a little more passive as well. We just don't see it that often.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that here in Game 4.
Maybe he's getting a bit of a worse end of the mind games here. Here we go. Map number 4, Acolyte, starting at the top right-hand side of the map. Playing as the blue Protoss, it is Roots herO.
The last Protoss in the tournament. Going up against this man, who already won 2 tournaments this year, wants to make it 3 though. Give it up for Rogue.
Definitely getting in shape at the right time here. Some might say barely sneaking into the global finals. Would be quite the Cinderella story here if he was to go on and win the whole thing. I don't think SOS could be too mad.
You know what I'm pumped for as well? That next quarterfinal start. If you guys just joined in, we already had 2 quarterfinals. The next one, if you're into Terran or if you're into StarCraft, let's be honest, you're going to be ready for Innovation versus TY. I'm super pumped. Inno, probably the most consistent player together with Stats throughout the year, but TY peaking when it mattered, at least in the beginning of the year, winning 2 absolutely massive tournaments, WESG and Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, so I'm pumped for those.
We're talking about a player potentially becoming the earningest StarCraft 2 player here, and actually if TY wins this tournament, he doesn't just do that, he actually completely blows MC out of the water. 600,000 a year, that's what it would be for him. Not bad. That
would be the best year that anybody has ever had in StarCraft 2, but we're not there yet. Let's keep our eyes on this awesome best of 5 that we're still looking at, and hopefully thought we're going to Game 5 as well. As Rogue went for a very economic opening this game, it's the double hedge before pool. Interesting opening here by herO. This is something we obviously have seen before, but Acolyte has a pocket expand. So this is by far the easiest map where you can just wall up near your ramp and you take your pocket expand. But herO said, nope, I'm going to save my pocket expand for a little bit later. So I'm going to have a super easy time going up to 3 bases. I do think on Acolyte you're going to have an easy time regardless, but herO does what he wants, Todd.
Yeah, usually makes it easier to go into something like a mass air, but like I said before, in their previous series, the one game that herO won with a lot of air and Kairos in particular was because he had a great start on Newkirk. The 2 other games, including the final one, he tried to go for Kairos, wasn't able to pull it off. herO countered perfectly, went for the right attacks, and completely shut him down. So those heroes stay on this ground army that he's been playing and hasn't really been that successful with. And he's taking damage from bailing drops, or does he mix things up here a little bit more? I guess we'll find out.
I'm super excited. I think this can very well be a 2 or even 3 Stargate game, Todd. I think you're spot on with that. But what is herO going to do? Don't get fooled too much by the double hatchery before pool, because yes, it is incredibly economic early on, but that doesn't mean that herO cannot do something like a Queen Nidus that we've seen him do before against those kind of openers, because he feels confident with it, and he feels if he executes it well, then again, herO's defense is some of the absolute best in the Protoss book. And look at that, Todd. Once again, he's going to start up with that safety Void Ray. It's like you remember the Polt Viking? This is like the Polt Void Ray, you know? You use it to kill a couple of overlords.
The herO Void Ray is the new Polt Viking, apparently. Oracles are a thing of the past. That Adept is going to take a lot of damage, barely shade out of there. Maybe rejoined by his friend. That's you and me. I'm the injured one.
I think it's the other way around, Todd. You're so fit. So once again, these adepts going to shade. Obviously, you want to make sure that your opponent is still building drones, hopefully at least. And if that's not happening, you want to know what's happening. He's going to let it finish up. Very questionable decision there by herO. Zergling speed is not done yet, but the surround is possible. One adept, I think, is absolutely going to fall. But I think that both are just going to fall. Really not getting much done there at all.
And you know what I absolutely love, by the way, about Rogue? He scouted the Stargates, saw the first unit that was being made. He's like, a Void Ray? you're not going to threaten my drones. He skips on spores, probably is going to anticipate it's an Oracle next, and then get spores on time.
I love
but
it
if
too.
he does not, it's a disaster. So he definitely has to start them soon, because the Oracle's on the way here.
Yep, no, you're spot on. And these are these small things that separate the greats from the absolute best. You don't want to make those spores too early. Why make spores? Why lose 3 drones when you have 40 drones start, when you can lose 3 drones when you have 47? That obviously has a lesser impact on your economy. Just getting a couple of extra trips from a couple of those drones out there. We do have Stargate number 2 and 3 as well. But so far, Todd, even though not much has happened, I love rogue as opening. I just feel like this is everything you want as a Zerg player.
Definitely a pretty close walk account here between the both of them. Usually when you see triple Stargate nowadays, it's for a lot of Oracles, and a transition that we've seen quite a bit has been into double Forge and a lot of ground units, into a ground transition. But mass carriers also a possibility. We don't see it as much, and like I said, herO didn't really have that much success up against Rogue when he tried that the last time that they faced. So unless he wants to try and perfect that, but I mean, he's down 1 and 2. There's no room left for mistakes here from herO.
I would like to see some carries over here, Todd, at the big stage. Why not? It's time. I mean, I love the way that herO does it as well, with the Forges, with the Blink Stalkers. That is one of these builds that I really think is incredibly hard to execute. It looks always a little silly, right? You see a bunch of Oracles flying around and you think, well, is this it? But it's actually so hard to do, as we do seem to have a minor pause in this game. So, Todd, we're going to talk about rainbows and butterflies, because you never know when the players take off their headsets.
Yeah, definitely nice to see Rogue fights as hard as he is here, though. I was kind of expecting a 3-1 or 3-0 from herO, but apparently Rogue, he hasn't said his final word there. I think Rogue is not somebody that anyone wanted to face as well in the quarterfinals. herO was probably like, well, I guess like we'll play one more time, and I've been playing really well against Zerg, but Rogue has been so dangerous as of late.
I feel like before the tournament, I totally agree with you, and everybody was like, you know, you don't want to play Rogue, you want to avoid Rogue. But I feel like Neeb made Rogue look a little bit more mortal, right? Like every now and then you just need somebody to, you need to see him lose to believe that it's actually possible that he can lose as well. And then other people will start believing in it a little bit more as well. But Rogue was, without a doubt, one of the top players coming into this tournament. Same goals for herO, of course. And I think the other one that everybody's always looking at is Innovation. But meanwhile, Todd, we've got Sue and Special in the semi-final.
Yeah.
Who would have actually predicted that?
Love the stage, by the way. You can look at the giant supply here on the side.
Stage is made for you.
Definitely can't miss this one.
I love the
I had no say in it.
I love the lines. I think it's super awesome. The moment I was watching Gumio versus Sue, and it's so awesome to see, you know, when a couple banelings roll by or somebody loses the planetary, to see the difference between the economies immediately. It's a very nice touch. Not something I've ever seen before displayed like that, but I love it.
Should be resuming the game here in a moment, guys. As herO tries to even the score. On this map, like when you go for triple Stargate Oracle like this, it's almost funny how there is multiple transitions nowadays, right? You could go normally into grounds, but that double Forge transition is really like the fashion of the month that a lot of producers have been doing really well with. And I wonder actually if herO will go for that, right? Because he went for a perfect wall, like obviously you can break that out easily. And then the Oracles, they build this comfort, right, where you can do a lot of damage, but they're also very good defensively because of the stasis wards.
Yep, Acolyte, of course, a very long map as well. That doesn't mean that you never see aggression on it, but in general, it's just a little bit harder to execute because it all arrives a tiny bit later as well. This is one of these maps that is a little bit more catered towards those macro-oriented openings, but obviously, Todd, you don't always want to do the same thing. You want to keep it fresh when you play StarCraft.
You always keep it fresh, don't you? with the Marauder builds.
I try, but even I'm a little repetitive as well, Todd. When you get older, it's really hard to mix it up every single
There's
game.
nothing wrong with that, you know. Bisu is very good with Phoenix DT.
I think
you're very good with Corsair DT. Yeah. You're very good with Phoenix DT.
I think he'd be.
It's good to be a master of your craft.
I believe. I got a cookie this weekend of a Phoenix with a Dark Templar on top of it. It's my Warcraft 3 dream. I told you about it, right? Like, you remember the good old days where you had Hippo Riders, you could pick up an Archer? That's my suggestion to the Blizzard Balance team. I was like, guys, what if Phoenixes could just pick up Dark Templars? They'd be always cloaked. They'd be melee combat air fighters. I'd love it.
Can you imagine? They're just like, you can upgrade charge as well for them.
That's like matter of fact boost on the Phoenix, you know? You just fly straight into Brute Lords and stuff. It'd be amazing. Cardboard animation, take notes. I want to see that in a little video.
That'd be madness, man.
We are working on the issues, and I believe we're pretty much good to go real soon to continue game number 4 between these two awesome StarCraft players. And once again, the life of the last Protoss is on the line, Johan. on Acolyte. It has to happen. Are we going to get a game 5 or not? We're about to find out.
Yeah, still the one Oracle here kind of flying around trying to find some damage. herO keeping up on the walker count nicely. We actually see Rogue get a whole bunch of Hydralisks as well as +1 missile here. So we'll see if he wants to go for some sort of attack. No, actually no, he's going to go for low drones. That's kind of what I expected. I would have been very surprised if he went for something like a Nidus, because it feels like it's already too late for that to work, right? Nidus Hydralisk, like something usually that Protosses can defend very well with overcharge. Double force transition here in the plants, and it's, oh, it gets scouted.
Cancel
just
it.
barely.
Cancel it. Make carriers. Fleet beacon. Give me a fleet beacon, herO. He's actually going to wipe in a couple of gateways instead, so maybe he's going to just go for a super
Twilight.
Does he have any? He doesn't have a Twilight console yet, right?
No, he doesn't.
Oh. Okay, so he wiped in the 2 forges. He cancelled it immediately, and at that point, I kind of thought then go carriers, right? But now he's still making gateways.
Maybe it's either for safety, or he wants to do a Wings of Liberty-esque attack with oracles plus sentries and like zealots or something. But I don't know. Like I'm feeling more like a fleet beacon maybe being dropped soon.
Well, the Oracle's going to make their way across the map, but rogue has played a flawless game so far. He's got multiple Spore Crawlers per base. He's got a decent amount of Hydras, at least good, you know, enough to fight this amount of Oracles. The Hydras are in position as well. herO, you absolutely don't want to take that fight. Now, we do get that Fleet Beacon. I'm just a little bit curious about the extra gates. Maybe he feels like he needs it to secure the base here. It feels a little bit out of place, but we'll see where herO takes this. Now, Rogue is still on 3 bases, but he does have Infestors on the way, and you want to be really, really careful. Now, there is no Pageant Cleanse yet, but Infestors start when you have a bunch of Oracles are pretty much the most scary thing you could go up against.
Ooh, I'm not sure if you saw the natural there, did Rogue. Can we check that?
I love it, Todd.
No, he still thinks it's double forge, which usually means a Protoss is going to be upgrading ground units, going into a lot of charge lots, Immortals, High Templars, Archons. I mean, Infestors and Hydralisks, they're obviously pretty good against Carriers. The main danger against Carriers is if there are too many of them. Taking a hidden base is very risky by herO, but if he recalls a lot of probes there and it doesn't get spotted for a long time, this could be a winning move, because his economy is going to be so great that he's going to get a ton of Carriers. Rogue really wants to scout. He feels that there is something fishy going on in this game. Going to go for another Overseer Scout, and he's going to see that the double forge has been cancelled and that he's facing mass air. Does he go for an attack, or does he play slow like he did against Neeb, which he ended up losing that game?
Where is that Overseer going as well? What I like a lot about... Oh, no, no, don't do that, Stalker! Stalker! He's kind of pushing that Overlord into the wrong direction, Todd.
Oh my god. And Rogue gets the spot here on the top left-hand side base. Could easily dispatch some units there to try and do a lot of damage. Stasis Squads being set up on the right-hand side. herO already taking another base on that side.
Now this is still a large map. It's still very hard to just grab your Hydras, run across the map and kill your opponent, especially when you know those Oracles are out there as well. There's a million Stasis Wards out on the map. I think that upgrades are going to be really important for herO. I'm super happy to see him starting +1 air weapons almost immediately. And the moment it's done, you want to get +2. With carriers, obviously you have so many interceptors. All these units shoot so many times. Upgrades are absolutely everything.
herO accepts the challenge. He says, well, I didn't have the most success with Carriers against you in my last series. This time around, I will be able to pull it off. He's already set up the Great Wall of Acolyte here from left to right with a ton of Stasis Wards.
There's one little Zergling that sneaked by. Ooh, these Hydras actually! That is a massive Stasis Ward in the middle of the map. That's going to be a little bit tricky. If Rogue had any intentions of being aggressive, which I really don't think he does. I feel like Rogue's army right now, Todd, I think it's too late. The moment there are 4 carriers out there, he is getting Ultralisk. And for the people who don't watch you play StarCraft all the time, be like, why do you get an Ultralisk when you go up against mass air? Actually, interceptors shoot a lot of times. Ultras have a lot of armor, so it's really hard to kill 1 or 2 Ultras. They're also very useful in taking out cannons, and you can obviously transfuse them over and over and over again, which will allow your Hydras to stay alive if these carriers actually do shoot at the Ultra.
You know what I'm really surprised about? Rogue is expanding very slow. Not only, okay, he got supply blocks, fishing for a fungal, lands it on a couple of these Oracles there. Revelation's going to be used and spot at least one of these Infestors. Okay, he's going to get some nice snipes.
Wow,
I think Rogue, he has to go for a big attack here and do some damage with it, because he took a 5th base so late. Look at this, herO is already set up on 5 bases very comfortably.
That one Void Ray is a little bit out of position. The Void Ray is going to die almost immediately. The Infestor is still out there, but there is no Neuroparasite. That is an odd recall. One carrier is incredibly exposed. It goes down immediately.
Only one Overseer as well. He's going to snipe that, and now the entire army is going to be cloaked. He's going to try to chase on this army. All the Infestors being tagged. They are going to die super fast here. Rogue might have overextended here a little bit. He's trying to salvage the situation and pull back, but he's gonna get chased.
He did take down 2 carriers though, Todd. Carriers are very expensive. Getting 2 of them just like
They're
that.
gonna run into Stasis Wards, by the way. They're trapped on the map. They're caught between a rock and a Stasis Ward.
What? Oh my god, he used the 2 links, but there is another one. There's always another one.
Oh my god.
That one will connect. There were more Zerglings. I mean, if he can get out of there with the Infestors and a couple of the Hydras, I still call that a victory for Rogue in the end because he killed 2 carriers.
herO dives in there. He tries to get a couple of these Infestors. Fungals are gonna land. Can he get the snipe? He does get some of them. herO on the chase with carriers against Hydras. What is this madness?
He definitely wants to kill these Hydras though. There is no detection for these Hydras, so that's a fight they can take. Seems like a couple of them will live to tell the tale. Double Spire being morphed in as well.
6 more Infestors. I really feel like Rogue's expanding way too slow, right? Like herO's not gonna get in your face, go across the map and do a big attack, so you could be taking a lot more bases.
He still doesn't have it?
I mean, he has the 5th base, but no 6. He could take a 6, a 7th base already, start to saturate that double forge transition finally coming into play. So herO already thinking about some sort of grand transition. If he was to lose his entire army, remember, that would be to a lot of Corruptors.
He's going to get triple forge start. He already has a forge because he was getting shield upgrades as well. So he's going to get all 3 of them at once. I don't know. I mean, I kind of like it, but at the same time, I almost feel that herO should just like get a couple of High Templars, get some Storm out. Obviously, having a few Archons here and there is nice, but I wouldn't give up on the carrier dream. Instead, I will live my carrier dream, Todd. I will not stop building carriers forever. The Zealot is out of position, so these links are going to be incredibly annoying. There is no additional wall up here, so these links are just going to wreak havoc in the main base. Gonna force a lot of warp-ins, and obviously it's gonna give Rogue a really good idea what herO is working with. I love the burrow play as well.
He's gonna kill so many probes here. Actually, this is really bad from herO. As much as he was starting to build up a bank, this is not the time to be losing that many walkers. He lost 12 so far, still left over with 73.
He loses mining time as well.
Look at the production tab. Like, this is insanity. How many upgrades herO is getting right now? He's getting everything that he can.
Does he have 2 cybernetic scores as well? Yeah, it's a triple forge, double cybernetic score. I'm a fan, Todd. I like it. 5 upgrades at once. Let's do it.
He's investing in the long term.
Yes. I mean, we asked for a macro-oriented opening. I think 5 upgrades at once pretty much qualifies for it.
Yeah.
I do still agree with you when it comes to the expense for Rogue. I'd love to see him throw down 2 additional hatcheries as well. Not because he needs it, but in case he loses one later, he will always have the other one, right? Just keep expanding as far away from each other as possible. You take the left side, you take the right bottom side. If you lose one, the other base is always going to be quite safe. So I do agree with you on that one. When it comes to the workers, both players right now working with 81. Rogue is going to get 5 more drones. If you wonder why on earth would he do that, doesn't he have enough? Well, he wants to get more and more Spore Crawlers, because Spore Crawlers are pretty damn awesome against carriers.
If Protoss gets the Golden Armada as well as High Templars, just the Zerg army is usually not going to be enough to counter that. So you need what is called static defense, but really isn't static when you're Zerg. You can move it around on creep and fight with it. And remember, we had this epic Rogue versus Neeb game previously, which Neeb ended up being very patient in and successful. In a similar situation, Rogue, I'm sure he's very determined here to winning this one. Neural Parasite's already researched here.
Yeah,
I think he's fishing for some of that, but he's going to settle for a lot of interceptors.
I really don't like herO being here without Storm, without High Templar start. I mean, yes, I love carriers.
He can recall, right? Because there's no Vipers.
Yeah, well, what if he gets neuraled?
Okay, then he's dead.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm a...
Then the mothership's gonna look like this.
Yeah, with your tournament live on the line, I feel like herO is playing a very, very risky game here. He's playing with fire. Now, obviously, I don't think he should ever commit. I don't think he wants to commit because he's getting those ground upgrades as well. He's throwing down Templar Archives. herO, you want to be really, really careful where you are right now.
And herO is fishing for it. He's gonna close the distance here, looking for some of these Neural Parasite. Okay. herO turns around in a nice location here because a lot of these Hydras and Infestors, they were kind of blocking off one another, but Rogue happy to fungal, like essentially, right? This is just spending energy to kill little units that cost a lot of minerals here from herO. Well, at least when there's a lot of them, right?
Yeah, no.
They're pretty cheap.
I mean, losing 15, 20 intercepts at a time does stack up very, very quickly, so I do agree with you on that one. herO still just like lurking around. He wants to push that creep back. He's like, I will absolutely not let you get in a position ever where you can just walk Spore Crawlers across the map, and I'm going to be forced to fight against a bunch of those static defenses that you were talking about. Still feels really risky, but he's getting 9 more gates. So if herO eventually takes a fight out, he is going to have absolutely massive reinforcements as well, but the Neuro has been used. I don't think he got the mothership there though. One Ultra did just melt. herO, this is so risky.
He's making a sick flower here. You see that? Crumping his carriers on top of his mothership, making it very hard for Rogue to reach the mothership with any kind of neural. Most of the time that would land on one of the carriers and wouldn't be enough. You can just recall as you lost the shields on a lot of these carriers, but hero's gonna wait until neural expires here. He's still trading pretty well here against these infestors.
Absolutely, a lot of infestors went down and Rogue was looking for that opportunity, but herO, even though where he's in very dangerous territory, he's not giving Rogue the chance to steal that mothership, to burn the energy, to maybe steal a couple carriers as well. So that was absolutely an awesome engagement for herO, but I still think that he has to be a tiny bit careful.
Yeah, Rogue is losing a lot there, trying to hold on against this massive amount of carriers. The interceptors being rebuilt very quick. Not that many of them are dying either, despite the spores, Hydralisk, and infestors. He's gonna recall at the last second. One single carrier is left behind, but that was a sick trade here from herO.
Can we take a look at the units lost resource tab real quick? I just feel that Rogue lost so much more than herO.
Oh
19,000 against 11,000. Rogue was actually broke towards the end of that fight, Todd. He was making 12 Corruptors, he has the double Spire upgrades on the way, and that was it. Apparently he lost a whole bunch of Overlords as well, so he's remaking them. And Rogue realizes that he needs to buy some time, because he lost a silly amount of infestors. I think like 12, 15 infestors went down there. Can we take a look? 17 throughout the game already, so I guess around 12 or 13 in that fight.
That's a lot of gas. I mean, he still has so much of it, but now he's lacking minerals because he lost all of these units, and including the spores that actually, it cost him a lot of minerals, but he had to spend drones making them as well, which weakened his economy even more.
I mean, it's beautiful positioning by herO. He makes it look easy, but not every single time I even get close to doing what herO does. I always lose the mothership. You always see Protoss players, you know, getting home their army abducted.
The flower that he's making is sick. He's really making sure that a lot of carriers are around the mothership, so that in the case of neural attempts, a lot of the time he's going to catch one carrier, which is almost useless at this point.
And I love the double detection as well, right? He always has observers, and he also has an Oracle or two to still tag those infestors in case he loses the observer.
You know, one thing about carriers, like if you neural carriers, they are very bad at killing carriers. So as much as the carriers that you neural, you know, they are attacking for you, they won't kill the carriers of herO.
We've got some interceptor on interceptor battling though, Todd. One spore cross. How many spores do we currently have on the map? 4 Rogue. 56! Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
But they're spread out, that's the problem. They're never where the fight takes place, and if they were, he would just leave after, you know, using Revelation on most of this army.
Did you see that probe? That's just a probe chipping away at a spore crawl. A couple of Zealots going to try to be annoying here on the right bottom side. 1 or 2 queens will fall. I mean, Rogue is still in the game, but the herO has a ridiculous amount of gas in the bank.
He could literally fight this, lose everything, remax on Archons, and be like, hey, what's up?
Look at these
probes chasing on infestors! Run away!
Think they can get one?
Fungal.
These infested Terrans are probably going to be a little too hard to deal with. Was a nice try though. Excellent try. Of course, herO is right now freeing up a little bit of supply. He's been on 81 probes throughout the majority of the game, but by now he's rich and he's got all the infrastructure he can dream of, and he's got a massive army, so there is no need for 81 probes anymore. Right now having 55 to 60 is perfect. It's more than enough.
herO's gonna have every single upgrade you can think of here very, very soon. The 3-3 air.
I just want to see robotics play right now for some observer speed, some warp prism speed. Let's go.
Just get everything, you know.
Would you
why the hell not?
Would you get
thermal lens? Yeah, you can just do it.
Even if you don't.
You never know.
Well, he's getting blink TT. You get everything, Todd.
Wow.
I know somewhere in the audience, Fear Dragon is watching this game and he's losing it right now. He's ready to see those Dark Templars blink straight into the infestors and die immediately.
No, here's the twist. He's not going to make a single DT.
No, he will. There you go.
There it is.
Bam. Observer curse.
Where is this going?
Commentator curse.
Where is he going to send that?
The Zelnaga Watchtower. Perfect.
That's an expensive unit to scout with, I guess.
I mean, Rogue at least has survived a very dire phase in the game where I felt he was almost about to die because he had no more money in the bank. That's something we know. That's not something herO could possibly see. So I didn't mind the recall from herO at all from his point of view. But I think if herO knew what we knew, there's a good chance he would have just stuck around, reinforced the push he was making, and straight up win the game because Rogue was broke. Not anymore though. Rogue has a little bit of money again, and Rogue is once again maxed out. So there is still a chance for the Zerg, but most pro players are in agreement that if you reach this phase in the game, it's the Protoss game to lose, right? If Protoss doesn't make any mistakes, they are supposed to win. However, not making any mistakes in the game of StarCraft 2 is a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, it's basically impossible. Diogo is going to make some mistakes to an extent. It's about minimizing them. But Rogue, after the game that he lost against Neeb, which is what up against a similar army to this, you really have to feel like this is the kind of game that he will look at and try and really find out what his mistakes were. Perfect his unit composition in particular and try and play better the next time. And I really feel like this is going to be the case there. Last time, he had way too many Broodlords, I thought, against Neve. This time, he fixed that. Not a single Broodlords, a lot of Corruptors, a couple Hydralisks, Mass Spores, some Vipers, and a lot of Infestors. But right now, his army is out of position, and herO's going to jump on the opportunity here to kill a lot of these Spores, mostly losing nothing here.
Nope, didn't really lose anything at all. Maybe a couple of Interceptors, but that's about it. Blink
Well, the Mothership
to finish up.
A little bit behind. They are finally Vipers, so he needs to be extremely careful here. And abduct into a Neural would be a disaster.
Now, I think this army of herO thought would almost be invincible if he has a couple of Archons and 5-6 High Templars with it. He only has 2 High Templars. Now, 2 Storms or 4 Storms can still do a tremendous amount of damage, but I still think this is a lot better to fight for a Zerg than going up against 6, 7, 8 High Templars.
Here's the thing, herO doesn't have to commit to an attack as well. He can just pick off stuff here and there, some spores, wait until he's mined out the map, kill his own probes, and get even more army than Neve, what 199 with his own 200 army.
How many gateways do we currently have for herO? I just want to see his reinforced ability. 14, okay, so that's all 14 and 5 Stargates. So even if herO would take a really bad fight, the armies are getting awfully close to each other. The Mothership does get abducted and will go down very quickly. A couple Void Rays. We want to see the combination of Fungal and Parasitic Bomb, of course. That's the dream.
Oh, we have the Observers behind here. herO can't afford to lose this here. You want to make sure you don't have to spend extra gas on more Observers.
You want to be careful though. Without an ability to recall though, then only 2 High Templars there.
Yeah.
Like Void Rays are very powerful against Corruptors, but the moment there is Fungal and Parasitic Bomb, Void Rays can melt incredibly quickly as well.
And not that many High Templars for Storm either.
I would try to fight right now if I'm Rogue.
Yeah.
I would really try to fight. I feel like this is almost as good as it's ever going to get. Those are the only 2 High Templars that are there. He's going to Fungal the Void Rays as well. Can we get a Parasitic Bomb? Yes, we do. These Void Rays are going to take a lot of damage.
So many Fungals are available and they're going to do so much damage to this army here. Vipers closing the distance. A lot of Corruptors still going to work.
God.
herO trying to evacuate with some of his army, leaving so many carriers behind. He's warping in 15 High Templars here to try and replace this with a ton of Archons. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, he's counter-attacking with Zealots.
Yeah, there is an Ultralisk that's going to try to save that hatch. The hatch will fall, but herO lost a very, very, very expensive army. Look at these Zealots, by the way. They're going to chip down this Ultralisk. How often do you see that? Well, Todd, I mean, obviously herO still has plenty of money in the bank, but that is a fight you can take once and not twice, because if you do it twice, then it's going to be game over. Perfect fight there by Rogue. I loved it. Analyzed the situation. He's like, only 2 High Templars. He fungled them, killed them, then he saw the Void Rays clumped up, and he's like, all right, this is it, you know, you're gonna get a Fungal, you're gonna get a Parasitic Bomb, and Rogue is absolutely back into this game.
Ultras actually trying to counter-attack there. Stalkers and Zealots are going to be warped in. Rogue, I guess he hadn't seen the Forges and the massive amount of gateways, so he's counter-attacking, probably confident, and then he sees all those units with like 3-3-3, he's like, what?
Yep.
But yeah, herO covered all of his bases here by doing this.
I'm gonna get a couple Banelings. That's a lot of Archons. These Archons
12 DTs were just warped in.
Oh my god, he's gonna snipe bases with Blink TT stun.
He's warping in Archons actually. I guess he wanted to spend less gas than with Archons.
Yeah.
With the High Templars, which makes sense.
herO's very efficient though. Even when he has 3,300 gas in the bank, he's already thinking of that phase like 15 minutes from now on, where you can always be out of gas. Now obviously all these Corruptors are going to be, you know, not super effective.
This could be really bad for herO if his army starts getting fungled. Not much is going to be attacking. Neurals start landing.
My God, the Voids once again are very trapped. Carriers are being neuroparasited again. A lot of Archons are being stolen, and Rogue is once again taking a very convincing victory here, Todd, as a few Archons that are left behind are going to fall as well. And can we take a look at the units lost resources now? Because we remember Rogue lost 8,000 more, now herO lost 4,000 more.
Completely caught up here with these 2 massive attacks. If you can't beat them, neural them. 24 Zerglings and 8 Broodlords now on the way. Rogue realizing there is no more Stargate units. He's like, you know what? You want to go for mass ground? I'll show you how to kill your mass ground. And guess what? There's no more Archon toilet, that Mothership. There's nothing he can do about it.
And remember when herO was a very, very rich boy, Todd, those days are pretty much gone. 100 gas, that's all he has to work with. 250 minerals. Rogue has played this game absolutely fantastically. I'm so impressed with how he took those big fights. Did herO take too many risks in his play? Yes, perhaps, but still all the kudos to Rogue for capitalizing on every single inch that herO was out of position. The game is not over yet. Obviously, Feedback, Storm, Immortals, Archons. It's possible for herO, but he cannot lose another fight. If the next fight he loses, that's it. He's done.
Not everybody has Neve's patience, Roddy. think we really saw that here with herO, losing his mothership and then still going for an attack, not waiting any further. Maybe he was worried about some sort of counter-attack, but the quick spread wasn't that far. It would have been hard for Rogue to bring the spores there. Now herO losing a very important base, his healthiest one around the middle of the map.
Oh my god. This army is terrible against Broodlord stuff. It's like, I mean, unless they somehow get below them, but how on earth is that ever supposed to happen?
It's not a crazy amount of Broodlords, but it's enough that it's still going to be very scary with 8 in total.
I have no idea.
8 Ultras to tank the damage as well on the ground. I mean, there are Immortals, but it's not a crazy amount either.
A couple feedbacks will land on these Infestors, but there's no way. I think he's going to have to recall Altot. I really don't think this is a fight that herO wants to take, even though he does take care of a couple of these Ultras. But the Broodlords, they are so safe. Neuro's landing from way downtown. And how on earth is herO going to get below these Broods? I don't think he's going to be able to. He does land a couple of good storms, and I must say he did do a really good job in cleaning up that ground army.
And Fungal is going to keep on landing there. There's nothing herO can do about it. He tries to manually target the Infestors, but that means he's going to have to close the distance against those Broodlords that are still going uncontested.
So well done by Rogue. He's landing these Fungals over and over and over again, keeping this Protoss army at bay, and these Brutes have done so much work. herO is almost out of gas. He's going to send a couple of Stalkers to save the day, but there is still a couple of Infestors left as well, and this could very well be it for the last Protoss of the tournament.
Yeah, Stalkers trying to save the day here. They're going to get cleaned up essentially. Still Fungals landing on top of these Immortals and the one Archon. herO with no bank behind this. These are his last few units. This was his last and final attempt to try and beat Rogue here on this map.
herO seemed like he was in control. He had the army, he had the infrastructure, he had the bank, but a couple times he overextended, and Rogue showed us that he is able to learn from his mistakes very, very, very quickly. Fantastic game by Rogue, fantastic series by Rogue, and herO, this is where it's going to end for him once again. Rogue is going to be the final stop.
Rogue does it here and eliminates the last and final Protoss from the tournament.
Wow. What a series, Todd. Incredibly impressive play by both of them. Loved it. Started off so well for herO. Really felt like, all right, this is more of the herO that we've seen in the opening week of the Global Finals as well. But the moment that Rogue found a little bit of momentum, I think that game on Odyssey was just tremendous for him, right? Because that was a scrappy game. He defended, and I felt from that point on, he dominated the series.
Created some great momentum and capitalized on it here. Stayed very patient in that last game, which is not always easy. Like herO essentially was the one that kind of lost patience from a comfortable position, but let's not wait any longer. I want to hear from the winner here, Rogue, who's with Mix on stage.
Congratulations, Rogue. This is your second top 4 at a WCS Global Final. The last time you were in the top 4 was already 2 years ago, so how great does it feel to stand up on that top 4 once again? 일단 이제 블리츠컨 4강 진출 이번이 두 번째인데 2년 넘어서 다시 4강에 올라갈 수 있는 소감 얘기해 주세요.
일단은 너무 행복하고 되게 극적으로 블리츠컨에 오게 됐는데 일단은 4강까지 가게 돼서 되게 욕심이 많이 나고 있어요.
So he says, first of all, I'm really, really happy. You know, being able to come to the WCS Global Finals, I was one of the last people to even be able to qualify. So I'm really happy to be able to move on to the semifinal, and I think my greed to become a champion is growing even higher. And now I need to talk about that last game that we just watched. There was a lot of back and forth action going on, and as we got to the late game, what do you think were the key decisions that you made to help secure the win? 이제 그 마지막 경기에 대해서 물어보고 싶은데 초반에는 왔다 갔다 하다가 후반으로 가면서 결과적으로 어떤 선택을 해서 이길 수 있었던 것 같으세요?
일단 제가 선택했다기보다는 제가 만약에 준호 형이 안 들어오고 계속 모았으면은 제가 힘들었을 상황인데 들어와줘가지고 거기서 좀 컸던 것 같아요.
So he says, rather than something that I did really well, I think that herO sort of coming into me and fighting against me and making that decision, that was what was a key decision that led to me winning that game, because I had a really great engagement there. And now last but not least, you're going to be going up against either TY or Innovation, some of the world's best Terran players. How do you predict that match will go? 이제 마지막으로 전태양 선수 아니면 이신영 선수, 어떻게 보면 가장 잘하는 테란 선수들이 남았는데 그 선수들 중에서 누가 이길 것 같으세요?
저는 준비를 많이 한 사람이 이길 것 같다고 생각해서 태양이가 이길 것 같아요.
He says, I think it'll be a match where the player that prepares more will win, so I actually think TY will be the one to move forward, and we'll see which of those players move forward, because that will be our next quarterfinal match. But for now, congratulations, herO, and best of luck in the semifinal. Nathaniel, back to you.
Thank you very much.